Good morning, and we are live. Glad to be with you. As you can tell, today is going to be just a little bit of a different show today. Not going to do quite the same format, but you folks are going to love it. People have been telling me that they are upset. They are afraid. They are nervous. They don't know how we're going to deal with this Trump regime, what we're going to do going forward. I wasn't quite ready. I'll be honest with you. I wasn't quite ready to reveal, take the mask off. Everybody's taking their masks off, so I'm going to take my mask off, and we're going to talk about this. We're going to do it. So let's talk about how we are going to defeat the regime and move forward as a country. There is a plan. So let's do this. Good morning, everybody. Forgive me. It is Texas. The infrastructure sucks a little bit, so we're just going to have to deal with a little bit of a laggy internet, and I do apologize. Shame. It's such an important show, but it is what it is. Thank you very much. It's an important day, an important conversation. So I figured I would dress the part. All right, folks. I get it. I get it. And I am on social media. I speak with you folks. I understand. I understand the fear. I understand the distress over what's going on with the Trump administration. I get it. I totally get it. I totally understand. But folks, our victory here is inevitable. It is just inevitable. And there is a plan. There is a plan. So, without further ado, let's lay it out. For you to understand the plan, folks, you've got to understand the terrain for which we are currently deployed. We've talked before in previous shows. We've talked about the difference between a Republican and a Democrat, and the subject mostly came up with the idea or the desire for people to switch parties, right? Republicans are doing terrible things. Why don't we just get a handful of Republicans to switch parties? Why can't we make that happen? Well, we can't make that happen, folks. We can't. I explained a little bit the difference between being a Republican and a Democrat. And you have to understand this to understand our plan. And this isn't about DC. This is about us. This is about what we're going to do to win this. You and me. But for you and me to win this, we have to understand the system. We have to understand everything that's involved. So we've talked about it before. We've talked about Republicans don't want to become Democrats, not because they hate Democrats, not because they think well, some of them hate Democrats, but not because they don't want to do the right thing. Some of them do. So you'd think we'd be able to snatch a few of them, but we can't. We can't. And it's because of the systems that are set up in Washington, D.C. It's about the money and the different life that a Democratic representative lives versus a Republican representative. We've talked about this before. When a Democrat wins, the first thing they do is the party gets a hold of them. They take them into an office. They sit them down in a cubicle. They put a list in front of them and tell them, start calling, buddy. You've got an election in less than 2 years and you need money. Republicans, it doesn't work that way. Al Franken talked about this. He was one of the things that shocked him most when he became a senator was that how 90% of his time as a senator was spent with his hand out asking people, "Oh, hey, how you doing? Yeah, sure, let's take a picture. Oh, yeah, I understand that topic. I'm with you on that. Now write me a check." He hated it, but it is the life of even a senator, even a Democratic senator. Marsha Klepper, miss y'all. I've been wiped out with strep for a couple of months. I'm glad to see you back, Marcia. I'm glad to see that you're, I'm sorry to hear you were under the weather, but I'm glad to see you back. And thanks for the support. We've talked about all that before on the show. If you're a longtime member of the show, you have heard me speak on this. So do me a favor. A lot of people need to hear this. Let's whip the algorithm, thumbs up button, hit the subscribe button. Let's do this. Get this out to as many people as possible. So we've talked about that, the difference between the two parties, and it completely perverts how the parties act. Democrats aren't pandering to a bunch of billionaires. They aren't. Are there billionaire donors that support Democrats? Yeah, some. There are. That Republicans like to talk about George Soros all the time. And I love to point out the fact that George Soros gives more to conservative causes than he does to Democrats. And the way George Soros does it, it isn't really directly benefiting Democrats. And it's just freaking hilarious to me. But when you know what I know at the end of this show, it's going to be hilarious to you too. The notion of George Soros. That's just freaking, it's so laughable. We're going to talk about the Republicans. We're going to talk about the money behind Republicans. We're going to talk about the perversion of the Republican Party that got us here. We're going to talk about what we're going to do moving forward and how we can defeat the problem facing us. So let's just dig right into it. We've got a ton of people to talk about. And I want you to understand how this works. I want you to understand how this works. Let's start with this guy right here. This is Barry's side. This is Barry's side. He's in his 90s now. Barry started interestingly enough, grew up very close to my grandmother in the south side of Chicago. Went to war for a couple years, came back from the military, and went to work for a company called Trippe, Trippe. Worked his way up, became CEO, eventually took over the company. And that became Triplite. That became a company now that you know as Triplite. This is basically Triplite. I mean, some ideas of what they mean. They make electrical products. Trippe was a manufacturing company, and under site they expanded. They make breaker boxes. They make breakers. That's the stuff they started with was just basic stuff like circuit breakers. This is a Triplite circuit breaker. And, during the computer revolution, they jumped on and they started making these strip plugs that you see, it's got a circuit breaker in it. And they got into the tech industry a little bit. Then they started making UPS systems. This is a UPS, an uninterruptible power system is what a UPS system is. First, they started out with ones like this. You probably have one of these on your home computer. It's a battery backup system, a UPS system. See Triplite here. Then, like I said, he expanded into the tech industry and just commercial, any industry that had to have uninterruptible power. They started making commercial grade UPSs. We're talking about server rack size UPS systems. If you had a system that could not go down, you ended up with probably a Triplite UPS system. There are other companies. Mitsubishi makes some of these, and there are other companies, but Triplite was pretty much on the forefront, and that's where Bar Said made his money. Well, he was also, and most of these folks are religious zealots and activists. All these folks that we're going to talk about. Bar Said did things like fight the banning of DDT. You remember DDT? A lot of these folks that come up in it's funny you should mention Eaton. It's funny you should mention Eaton. We're going to talk about Eaton in just a second. Eaton's part of this story. And I love that you folks, I always talk about how informed you folks are. Oh my God, it just amazes me how informed you folks are. I think I know shit, but you folks always know. It amazes. I love talking to you for that. But yeah, so he starts in the construction industry. We're finding out that, look, there are certain industries that are very prone to be very hard right wing. You get a construction billionaire or an oil billionaire, they are radical right wingers because their industry is regulated and they hate it. They hate it. They grow up with every fiber of their being hating the government, and they become radicalized, and they go beyond all sense of normalcy and things that you would expect normal people to do. This guy came up in South Chicago. He was not born with a silver spoon in his mouth. This guy built a company and radicalized himself. He funded all kinds of, that wackadoodle research that they use to write amicus briefs to put before the Supreme Court. He funded a lot of that, but he did it very quietly behind the scenes. Very quietly behind the scenes. Let me tell you how radical Bar Said is. Sorry, he Americanized his name. It's S-E-I-D, Said. But his parents were Jewish. They were Russians. They immigrated to South Chicago, and they Americanized the name, and he calls himself Barry Said. 1 second. How radical did he become? And that's the key thing with a lot of these that we're going to talk about, these folks that we're going to talk about. And it's important to stick with me. We're going to get to the plan, but you've got to understand the terrain for which we currently find ourselves deployed. Because we just had a vote to confirm Puppy Killer, Kristi Noem, and 6 Democrats voted along with the Republicans, and people are losing their damn minds over it. We're going to talk about how we defeat. That's part of the plan, is how we overcome that. So stick with me, but you need this information to get from here to there. Bar Said, took his entire company, all of it, the entire thing, and stuck it into a trust called the Marble Freedom Trust. Yeah. I mean, that's what he did. He saw death's door coming. He's been an activist his whole life. He's been a right-wing activist his whole life. And his last play was to take his entire company and stick it in the Marble Freedom Trust. And that's where Eaton comes in. They're not a big part of this story, but they're a little part of this story. After it went into Marble Freedom Trust, it was sold to Eaton Electric, one of the largest electric companies in the world. Chances are you got circuit breakers in your house, they're Eaton Electric circuit breakers. So why is that so radical? Well, this is Marble Freedom Trust. It has one trustee, and they sold the company for $1.6 billion. Come on, folks. You know who this guy is. Come on, I'll wait for it. You folks in the chat, y'all know who that is. The sole trustee of Marble Freedom Trust, the overseer of then what was $1.6 billion. That's right. I knew y'all knew. Leonard Lea. Leonard Lea, the great funder of Donald Trump himself, the 2025 Project, all of these radical movements. Leonard Lea. That's what Barside did with his fortune. Literally handed it to the most radical Republican activists to put into a trust so that there is a never ending supply of money to wage this radical war against you and me. Against you and me. They say it's against government, but it really is against you and me, because everything that they keep trying to kill in government is stuff that services you and me. Medicaid, Medicare, Social Security, all of that. And what I mean by a never-ending supply of money, I mean they took that $1.6 billion, they invested it in the market, and then they take the returns they get off of it and they fund this radical ass. MSNBC had a really good story on how this works. I'll give you the Cliff's Notes of it. I won't let your eyes glaze over. Okay, over here on the right, you've got the Catholic Association Foundation, the TCA. They want to stop the Plan B. They want to fight Plan B. That's what they do. And they are the people that fund Republicans. They're the people that set up the PACs. They're the people that get out there on the ground and fund the dirt level support of these Republicans. Now, remember, I told you they're not Democrats. Democrats are on right now. While all this is going on, I want you to remember your Democrat rep. He's sitting there on the phone with his head down, and he's calling people. Hey, how you doing? I noticed you were. I got your email here and phone number. I noticed you were at one of our party functions. Can you cut me a check? That's what's going on with the Democrats while this is going on. You got TCA out there doing the work because it's an issue. And remember, the Supreme Court made you can spend unlimited money on an issue. And who always supports the radical issues like this? Republicans. So you've got groups like the TCA. You got the Marble Freedom Trust that takes $150+ billion and they give it to Schwab Charitable. Schwab Charitable invests that money, takes the largesse off of it. You notice the difference there, 153.8 to 9.25. That's the returns off the investment. And then funnels it to these other radical right-wing organizations. This is Sam Kang. He is the facilitator for actions like this. Sam Kang isn't the only one. He works at Charles Schwab. He's the president of their DAF Giving 360 division. What DAF Giving 360 is? Well, I tell you what, let me just take you to their website. DAF stands for Donor Advised Fund. And they don't hide it. They tell you right out in the open. Step 1, contribute. Open an account and contribute cash, appreciated assets, or investments. 2, invest. Invest in one of our one or more of our investment pools, or recommend an investment advisor to manage your account. So remember, this is supposed to be a charitable donation, but the entire way, the billionaire is in charge of where it's invested, how it's invested, who handles the money, and step 3, the grant. Recommend grants to qualified U.S. public charities of your choice at any time. It is hands-free tax dodging, and they advertise it. They do. They tell you. It is, in their own words, a donor-advised fund from DAF Giving 360 is a simple, tax-smart investment solution for charitable giving. Now, I want to be clear about that. This is money that they should be paying taxes on. This is money they should be paying taxes on. But instead, they're using it as a war chest to fund their most radical religious inclinations, their most radical anti-government inclinations, and they are radicals. We need to get accustomed to calling them what they are. They're radicals. They're religious zealots. They're political zealots. You know, like I said, a lot of these came up in the construction industry, or the oil industry, or the trucking industry, industries that are regulated and they hate the government. So they do this. And Republicans have set it up so that they can, because Republicans are the end recipients. Harlan Crow. I don't have a picture of Harlan Crow here. He's not one I have a picture. Hold on. I don't have a picture of Harlan Crow here, but that's one of the famous ones in the news. And his largesse and the money he spends, he came out of Trammell Crow. His father, Trammell Crow. You could pass a construction site anywhere in the South, or even in the Northeast for that matter, that did not have a Crow Company sign, because they financed construction. That's where Harlan Crow's money came from. And he dodges taxes, funding his radical agenda. And he does it in the most grotesque ways. Well, I want to talk to Clarence Thomas, a justice on the Supreme Court who is supposed to be unbiased. He'll be able to hear me better on my yacht. Just the audio, the acoustics are better on my yacht. It's gross. And this is how they do it. And, you know, Side is far from the only one. Now you see how it works, right? I want to pause for a second, make sure you understand this. You get these billionaires, they radicalize, they get into politics, become even more radical, and they do these insane, and it's not all billionaires, folks. It isn't. It isn't. There are a lot of billionaires out there that all they want to do is run their freaking companies. But they go along with this because these radical billionaires end up pushing for things like, I don't know, tax breaks that let you take your taxes and use them any damn way you want. Money that you should be paying taxes on. Exactly. And so many of them do it in the name of God. We'll jump to it wasn't exactly the order that I intended to go in, and this is a kind of a free-flowing show, folks. This is these two right here. You've heard me talk about them before. This is an interactive show, folks. You want to talk about in the name of God? Ferris Wilks. He is an extreme religious radical. He's part of the Seventh-day Adventist movement. Him and his brother own Carbo Ceramics, TiVo Incorporated, Approach Resources, Lending Club Corporation, and where they started out as bricklayers, man, in the construction industry. Then they got into fracking with Carrizo Oil and Gas, made a bunch of money. Now they've got people running their companies that are making them even more money. And what are they doing? This radical ass pushing of their religious agenda, their radical ideas about how terrible the government is, because they got in trouble. So one time when they were coming up, the government made them do something they didn't want to do. So they've become radicalized. And don't lose hope, folks. I'm going to tell you at the end of this how we're going to defeat this, but it's going to seem like a lot before we're done. And it's not just here in Texas. They call him the bully billionaire, Tim Dunn, oil and gas guy, huge religious radical. He funds all of the school voucher stuff. He wants to open up a revenue stream to churches, a tax revenue stream from the government to the churches via school vouchers. And we all know, your average person really is not going to have a use for a school voucher. That it ends up being a tax credit. But your average American, one, doesn't have the money to be sending their kids to private school. Hell, most Americans can't afford a $600 emergency. They're not, most Americans aren't going to take advantage of these vouchers. They're not going to have a tax, just enough income that it even matters to them. And even if they did, they wouldn't have the money to send their kids to the private schools. And even if they did, here's the real kicker in the pants. The people that think they're rich but aren't, that think they're going to benefit from these vouchers, yeah, there isn't room in these private schools for all their kids. So the rates of go sky high in private school. Then the grifters come in and set up all kinds of shady ass private schools. And that's where the folks that think they're rich are going to end up with their kids going versus the people that actually are rich. But yeah, it's welfare for the rich. It is a class war, and it's been going on for decades and decades and decades. Some of the more popular, just, y'all all know about the Koch brothers, Charles and David Koch. These are these guys, again, started in oil. Their daddy took daddy's money. He was in the oil services business, oil industry services business, and they have everything from Stainmaster carpet to Dixie cups. They funded all of these organizations to go around. They were writing the legislation, folks. That's why I'm telling you all this. The difference between a Republican in government and a Democrat in government, and why we get into trouble and how we're going to beat it. They were writing the legislation. The Republicans they don't have to fundraise. They get to be members of all of these clubs where they think that they're rubbing shoulders with the wealthy, and they're not. They're not. We had a previous show where I showed you about the reciprocal memberships in these clubs and how they're dining, with private clubs that have private chefs in them and, their own showers and their own, they don't have to rub elbows with us poors. That's the Republican lifestyle. And I want to put a pin in that because this is where we lost the corporate media. Because that little bit of largesse that these guys, squeezed out on these Republicans, that spilled over to the corporate media. That's why guys like Scalise has $500,000 in bills at a swanky Washington, D.C. steakhouse. It isn't because he's eating 5 steaks a day. It's because he's taking members of the media and talking business over Merlot and steaks. In our previous show, we talked about how the media outed themselves and how much they hated the Biden administration, because the Biden administration, again, here's we Democrats just doing our freaking job, thinking that the media wants to report on things, and they don't. They want to be coddled. They want to be, they want somebody to buy them a Birkin bag. Here we Democrats are, they're pissed off. I showed you the article in the last show. You can go back and check it out from the Columbia Schools publication, Columbia Schools of Journalism publication, where they were bitching because the Biden administration, well, damn it, they would just put them in touch with experts on the subjects that they were talking about. And that was boring, because those experts would actually want to talk to them about the subject instead of taking them out for steaks in DC steakhouses. Are you seeing how this is a problem? How we got where we are? The Republican Party hasn't been a real party for decades. They can't govern because of this. They can't govern. We're going to talk a little bit more about that in a second, but I want to just give you an idea of the, here we have, we had Elon Musk. Elon Musk. I played this for you the other day. This is off of my social media, actually from Patriot Takes. I shared it from them, but we saw this.
Making it happen. Thank you. Making it happen.
So what happened with that? The corporate media soft pedaled it. Hell, Fox didn't even show it. Man. They just said we were having a fit about nothing. And then when they finally got around to it, what they did was they took a bunch of out of context people that were obviously not doing that. They were waving at people and this, that, and the other, and they would freeze frame the video so that the person was standing there with a straight arm and say, oh, look, Democrats did it, but they're hypocrites. They're blaming Elon Musk. No, you saw that in context. And here's some more context for you. This is Elon Musk just day before yesterday. This is Elon Musk. More context for you. He is speaking at the AfD convention in Germany. The AfD are the frickin' Nazis. They are the right-wing radical Nazis. And listen to what Elon Musk says here. Sorry, give me 1 second. Listen to what he says here. This is for the audio, not the video.
I'm very excited for the AfD. And I think you are really the best hope for Germany.
That is what Elon Musk sounds like.
Something I think that is just very important is that people take pride in Germany and being German. This is very important. It's okay to be proud to be German. This is a very important principle. It's okay. It's good to be proud of German culture, German values. And not to lose that in some sort of multiculturalism that dilutes everything. I think there's frankly too much of a focus on past guilt, and we need to move beyond that. Children should not be guilty of the sins of their parents, or even let alone their parents, their great grandparents, maybe even. I'm very excited for the AfD.
So yeah, they're preaching to the Nazis about they don't have to be embarrassed about being Nazis. Kudos to this photographer right here that snapped this shot. This has just gone viral all over the internet. From his zoom into the Nazis. So yeah, the right-wing media, we have all the context we need to know exactly what Elon Musk is. We have his own words. You have him after the Nazi salute Talking to the AFD, been a local, good to see you. If you're paying for cable, you're supporting Nazis and Russian propaganda. Stop it. Television is important. Democracy isn't important. Democracy. Thank you, Ben Loco. Thank you. Thank you for being here. After the media soft pedals and so it was just an awkward hand gesture. They said he had autism. They said all kinds of anything but to say the guy did a freaking Nazi salute, which he did twice. That's what the corporate media is doing. And they're doing it for the exact reason I just explained to you. The billionaires are funding all of this in a class war against you. You know, just for more context on Elon Musk, before the billionaires shot their shot and took their mask off and started directly controlling their outlets, was from the LA Times. This is from November of 2022, talking about how bad X has gotten. Elon Musk is breaking his new toy. Will it cost us democracy? Yeah, that's a good article, isn't it? That was the LA Times. You know why you can't see articles like that anymore? This guy, this billionaire bought the LA Times and decided to get very hands-on with the editorials control. William G. Atheist, thanks for the support, man. I really appreciate it. I really appreciate it. It is not German values, American values, Canadian values. It's human values. Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you. But this is Dr. Patrick Soon-Shiong. People think he's Chinese. Well, he is of Chinese heritage, but he wasn't born in China. Would anybody like to guess where Patrick Soon-Shiong was born and educated? Granted, his advanced education came from all over the world, but his first degree, it's going to blow your mind. Most folks don't even know this. His first degree is from Witwatersrand University. To give you some idea, a hint. Witwatersrand University. He's from South Africa. He was born in South Africa. He was raised in South Africa. His accent, he talks just like Elon Musk. He talks just like Elon Musk. And got his degree. It comes from the has a medical background. That's where he started, but he was one of the first people, somebody Googled it, Port Elizabeth in South Africa. His parents were Chinese immigrants to South Africa. He was born and raised in South Africa. He came in through the medical industry. Then he became a tech bro. And he said, okay, the medical industry, there's money to be made in information services in the medical industry. You know what a big deal that is. You've seen how your records have become automated and all of that nonsense, right? I mean, that's what he did. That's what his company, he's got way too many companies to list them all on. His latest thing is he's become an industrialist. He's making batteries for the batteries of the future for the automotive industry and for solar and wind. He's making the next generation. I don't want to glaze your eyes over. He's developed batteries that are going to move us away from lithium. And he also owns the LA Times. And he is also one of the billionaires that shot his shot. You saw how they controlled the message in this last election. That's billionaire Patrick Soon-Shiong. I think I've written down here. He's worth an estimated $6 to $7 billion. Where he made his initial money, he was one of the original investors in Zoom. You know, Zoom calls. But he's far from the only one, folks. Let's just run through a few of these real quick. This is Diane Hendricks. Again, construction industry. Her and her husband, Ken, started a company to provide roofing supplies to construction companies. This is her company. Came out of Wisconsin. You wonder why Wisconsin, we do so well with the people in Wisconsin because the people's values in Wisconsin are so close to ours, yet the Republicans are always competitive in Wisconsin. She's why. Diane Hendricks. She's worth an estimated $2 to $3 billion, and she dumps a ton of money into Wisconsin. A ton of money into Wisconsin. This is her company's website. I guarantee you, you probably have on your home products. I'll just let them show you. Flashing, shingles. You'll probably recognize some of the brands that they distribute. Adhesives. Timberline shingles. She came up in the construction industry. She's radically anti-government, and she puts her money where her mouth is. She's another bar side. This is what the Republicans have. Every day, they have people like this. Every freaking day, funding them. Funding the bribery of our corporate media. Here's another one. Y'all know her. She served in the last Trump administration, Betsy DeVos. Mrs. Kill the Department of Education herself. Another religious, her dad, Edgar, started a company called Prince Manufacturing. He made car parts. When he died back in the 90s, late 90s, his company got sold to a company you've probably heard of called Johnson Controls. And old Betsy DeVos here back in the 90s got a windfall of about $1.3 billion. Edgar was a religious radical. She is all into that control the minds, control the people, vouchers so that we can control the narrative to our children, all of that nonsense. Y'all remember her brother, Eric Prince. Her daddy was Edgar. Betsy DeVos's daddy was Edgar Prince. Her last name isn't Prince because she married Dick DeVos. This is Dick DeVos's company. She is heir to both the Prince fortune and she married Dick DeVos. She's the heir to the Amway fortune. Dick DeVos's dad was one of the founders of Amway. This is her brother, Eric Prince. Y'all will recognize him immediately. Founder of Blackwater. Betsy DeVos is worth an estimated $5 to $6 billion. Well, they say the family because they always put everything in a trust so they don't pay taxes. They put everything in a trust all the time. So they say the family is worth $5 to $6. Betsy DeVos is worth $5 to $6 billion. This is Eric Prince. Y'all know him as the founder of Blackwater. Just trying to use my memory here. Blackwater became XE, and then it became Academy. Then it merged with another government contractor slash whatever the hell you want to call these companies, mercenary companies, whatever you want to call it, called Triple Canopy. Y'all have heard of Triple Canopy before. And then Eric Prince got bought out, and he is rolling in cash. You know him. He is a radical. He is a radical. His company merged with Triple Canopy and became a company. They are a government contractor taking money out of the government today. It's a company called Constellus or Constellus. I knew you people would know this. Yeah, grifters welfare. Amen. I knew you people would know this. I knew you people would know this. Academy in 2011, Academy eventually merged with Constellus. Yeah. They merged with Triple Canopy and became Constellus, in which Eric Prince is no longer involved with it. He got paid. Concepts of a scam. Hang in there, folks. We're almost done. We're almost done. This is Dick Uline. Uline. He runs a little company called Uline. This is Dick Uline, another guy that came up in the, just supply business, logistics business, anti-government radical, funding Republicans like crazy. This is Dick's company. This is Uline. And I have to tell you, this hit home. This really hit home. I found out Mrs. Texas Paul didn't know about Dick Uline. Not everybody knows. That's why I know I needed to do this show. This happened in my own house. I make these cups. I make them. I sell them to support the show. A lot of you have bought them. To ship them, I need boxes, right? I need boxes. Well, Mrs. Texas Paul, I told you, she's fantastic, man. She is amazing. She goes out, she finds a place where we can buy bulk boxes and get a good deal on them. I noticed that we've got a shipment coming in from Uline, and I'm like, what the frick? What the hell? And she's like, yeah, we ordered boxes. She doesn't know who Dick Uline is. She doesn't know. You didn't know. This guy has taken his company, the largesse from his company, instead of just going out and doing really great things, he has become an anti-government activist and spends his profits attacking you. And this is why that's it. That's it for the billionaires today. There are many more. That's it for the billionaires today. We made it. We made it through that portion of the show. But this is why Republicans cannot govern. This is why all of their politics is the way it is. Because everybody that pays them is a billionaire activist. And they have to pass laws to appease the billionaire activists so they can stay in the private social clubs, so they can get sent to Jerusalem on a trip, a junket, to talk about Israel. Yes, Uline equals Ziklag. Absolutely. Absolutely. Extreme radical behavior by these billionaires. It is a class war. And the Republicans must service. And this is what keeps me up at night. And I want to pause this for a second. They've created an entire class of people. We talk about talking to the stupids and how we screwed up in the last election. We forgot that we were talking to the stupids. Let me explain this, okay? You have an entire subset of our country that has been trained and conditioned to accept propaganda. That's why they think the things they do. Like I was telling you about Elon Musk, they were never showed the whole video of Elon Musk. They have never been showed the follow-up or the information ahead of time of Elon Musk flooding X with right-wing Nazis and Christian nationalists. They don't get showed that. They get showed propaganda, and they get told that we, the bad guys, are trying to manipulate them, which molds them into a human being that believes in conspiracy theories, and they're open to propaganda as long as it fits their narrative. They'll accept anything, no matter how crazy it is. They really believe, because they've been molded to think this way, conditioned by the billionaires that have been doing this for decades. They believe that Dr. Fauci, who has spent his life in the service of our country, doing nothing but trying to keep us healthy, actually has a nefarious plan somehow to hurt them. They believe that somehow Louis Pasteur, from way back in history, somehow invented pasteurization to rob them of raw milk. Yeah, this is the effect of what these radical billionaires have been doing. Okay? We've talked about all this before. Look at it as Democrats and Republicans. You got a guy, they're Congress people, they're walking into their offices. They get into their office, they shut the door, they sit down. What do they do next? What is their life like? Now, Democrats, and this now we're going to talk about the politics of it. The Democrats have always had, it's really simple. It's really freaking simple. Do good things for the American people. I don't know, like college debt relief. Try to get them health care. Just do things for the Democratic people, for the American people. Social Security, protect Medicare, Medicaid, fund our military. Just do stuff for the American people, and they'll vote for you. Doesn't have to be complex. Don't need a big apparatus. Well, that doesn't work anymore. And it doesn't work because of guys like this. Yeah, he's a Democrat. Was a Democrat. But yeah, he got plugged into that Republican system. He's a coal baron. Got plugged into that Republican system. And here's another guy that is fastly falling into this trap. When they were nominating Puppy Killer, he was one of the 6 that voted. And I'm using him as an example. John Fetterman. No, John Fetterman isn't a Dino. He's not. He's not even a Joe Manchin yet. But he's naive. He's naive. And I could see it happening in real time. He is falling into the Republican billionaire-laid soft trap. The honey money pot. He thinks he's doing the right thing. This is why I say he's not a Joe Manchin. He's not. He thinks the government has to function, and it only functions when we work together. So why not work together? We don't have to be stonewallers. We don't have to be. That's his naivety. That's his naivety. He doesn't fully understand what the Republican Party is. Elise Slotkin also voted for Puppy Killer. This is what they do, folks. These billionaires never give up. Just to go through the dots one more time. They set up trust funds. The trust funds make money, their investments. They take the largesse off the investments, and it is a constant river of money that goes into the coffers and the support, whether it be from PACs and dark money. That's why like open secrets. Yeah, it's a good thing. Open secret. Many of you have used open secrets before. We're getting there, Kathy. We are getting there. We are getting there. We're getting there. Open secrets, it's a good thing, but it really doesn't track all the money. It just doesn't. It can't. It can't track the trips to Hawaii and the trips to, you remember the fire in Hawaii? The Maui fire? How many politicians do you think, just use your imagination, had to go view the fire and ended up staying on the dime of a billionaire donor or at someone's swanky residence because they had to go view the fire? The guy, Larry Ellison, the guy that's taken over TikTok, Larry Ellison is going to end up taking over TikTok, owns, this is how rich Larry Ellison is. He owns an entire Hawaiian island. It's his own private island. How many politicians do you think? Yeah, Oracle. He founded Oracle. He was a tech bro. How many politicians do you think have gone to watch his yacht races in Australia or have been to his private island? These Democrats, 95% of them are exactly what I'm talking about. They're representing the people. They're doing the work. They're bugging your ass for money. They're begging you for money. We've had Democrats on this show before begging you for money. Republicans aren't like that. That's why I always put, I don't mean to be negative. I just know things. I know this is the life that Republicans live. You're not going to get them to switch parties. They're going to have a dog and pony show with Lisa Murkowski, and they're upset. And the fake ass McConnell vote when he knew it didn't matter. They knew the vote coming up for Pete Hegseth. They knew it was going to be 50-50, and they knew that Vance was going to put him in the job. So you see now how it's happening. And you know that right now, as we're speaking, there are trust funds that are ticking away, making money. And that money is being funneled right into the Republican establishment. And that's what we're fighting. That's what we're fighting. Every day, that's what we're fighting. So how do you fight that? First of all, why Democrats? Why the Democratic Party? Why the Democratic Party? Well, the Republican Party's bought and sold. So unless you've got about, $100 billion laying around, you're not going to get in. You're not going to buy control of that party. They've got decades of relationships and billions of dollars in money flowing into their coffers from these billionaires. Even if you won the lottery tomorrow and took all your winnings and went in and tried to buy into the Republican Party, it would be a drop in the bucket. You just would. And you're not hearing me, Michael. If you think it's a both sides issue, you're not. The overwhelming number of Democrats. This is why I am a Democrat. One of the reasons, there are many reasons, but this is one of the reasons I am a Democrat, is because at the core of the Democratic Party are people trying to do the right things. And we don't always get it right. One of the things that is so difficult with getting big donors, even the ones that aren't the radicals like these guys I'm showing you, is that we get these movements like just take oil and gas, for instance. They come in, and those movements themselves are freaking radical. I mean, they are just stop all drilling, stop all, and they don't understand the reality. And I've told you many times, I will never lie to you just to get your attention, just to get your clicks and just get your likes. I will never do it. I will tell you the truth. If we stopped burning oil tomorrow, which we cannot do, even if electric vehicles become the dominant technology in automobile industry, we will still have diesel-powered cars and diesel-powered trucks and service trucks, and we'll never get rid of it all. But let's just pretend for a second we did. Jason Crew here, thank you for the support. I really appreciate it. I can't do it without you. I don't have a billionaire sugar daddy. I despise these wealthy religious people. They are solely responsible for holding this country back from true progress. That is true. 100% true. Thank you for saying it. They are the real reason we have so much corruption in this country. Yes. And part of it, and because I want to be honest with you, where we screw up is we get these movements. And I'll give you another one. The election was stolen movement. Folks, it was a close election. You heard me say this over and over again. It was a close election, and there's nothing out there. The exit polling matches the results. We just lost a close election. That's it. But you have people that really want to believe it was stolen, and there'll be people that pop up. Even in you smart people, there will be people that will pop up and say, oh, no, it was stolen. Trump said he stole it. That movement has grifters in it. That's why I delete every one of those comments that come up on my social media, because there are grifters in it that are just trying to bilk you for money to sell you a pie in the sky dream. We have movements on our side. Stefan, thank you for the support, man. That go wrong, that go too far. Tiger Claw, good to see you. Thank you for the support, and I'm trying to be informative here. And I don't want to beat this horse to death, but yeah, part of the problem is we go too far, like the oil and gas industry. If we stop burning all gasoline tomorrow, we would still need 40% of every barrel of oil to run all of our industries. To, from lubricants to paints to finishes to even food additives. Folks, part of the food manufacturing processes uses carbon. Clothing. I mean, people get it. 40% of every barrel of oil doesn't even go to fuel. It goes to manufacturing feedstocks. Yeah. But you get these movements on our side that go extreme. We got to stop the drilling. We got to stop the fracking. We got to stop and they don't really know everything they're talking about, but they can get people excited. And that terrifies the shit out of the billionaires that aren't part of these radical crew. And that keeps those billionaires on their side when we do that. But trust me, there is a plan. We are inevitable. We will get there. But I will never lie to you. I will tell you the good, the bad, the ugly. I'll show you the warts. Linda Orndorff, thank you. I appreciate it. We need more AOCs. I watched her interview with Jon Stewart the other day. She is great. She does not take corporate money. Thank you. And this is a great segue to the plan. Key, thank you. Thank you. Look, folks. First of all, let me say this. This plan I'm laying out for you cannot be about me. If it's all about me, this is one of the things I identified early and why I've been doing what I'm doing. I've been working on this for a while. If it's all about me, guess who the one person they can take out and end our entire movement is? Guess who that is? If it's all about me, all they got to do is send the IRS after me, and we're done. It can never be about me. It has to be about us. And how does it become about us? What I do every day here. I shine the light on these things. I show you how they move their money. I show you who they are. I give you information, real world information, whether it's foreign policy, anything, all of it. Because you're good and decent people and you're smart. You remember that movie Glory? Great movie. Matthew Broderick, Denzel Washington, several amazing actors. And there was a scene in it when they were about to attack the fort at the end, and Denzel Washington was given the privilege of carrying the colors. And Matthew Broderick's character says, if this man falls, who will pick up the flag? Who will carry on? That is what I'm creating here to lay the foundation for our plan. So that if I fall, and it's also, I'll be honest with you, security for me. Because if I'm not the only one, if I educate you and we as like-minded people come together as a movement, I always talk about every platform, I'm building a community. If I fall, who will pick up the flag? And you will have the information to do it. I am danger-proofing us. It's just like people make stupid, violent threats about Donald Trump. There is no point. There is no point. Donald Trump is the puppet. He's the useful idiot that is manipulated by these billionaires that have been doing it for decades before Donald Trump ever came along. He's just the latest useful idiot that's been really successful at setting up a cult following. So violence as Donald Trump does nothing, because that just puts J.D. Vance in charge. And J.D. Vance is just as much a sellout. The entire Republican Party. What are you going to do? What are you going to do? Take out the entire Republican Party? No, you're not. Violence is not the answer. So I've come up with a plan. It is a real plan. Marianne Giesler, thank you. Thank you. Donald Trump picked the Republican Party because he knew it was full of people that have been trained for decades. Vincent Day, thank you for the support. That has been trained from the get-go. To accept propaganda and be grifted, to be scammed. And that's what he wants to do. And he's going to hand these billionaires what they want in their class war against us. That's all it is. So how do we counter it? I've taken a look at this and I've come up with it. I chose the Democratic Party for a reason, because it's full of people. That's why we're not the same. Going back to that comment earlier about, they got both parties. No, they pick off people in the Democratic Party, but the Democratic Party overwhelmingly is not sellouts. They're people with similar values to our own. It's just become too conservative. And I told you, I'm going to rope that damn party and I'm going to yank left and pull left as hard as I freaking can. And this is where the plan comes in. And it's going to sound so simple, but stick with me. Stick with me. YouTube user, thanks for the support. I want you, as part of our community, to one, This is it. You ready? This is the plan. One, you bring as many people as possible into our community. We do this together with as many people as possible. We had 8,000 people in here in the last show. Folks, that video from 2 days ago, the replay, got more people to watch it than it would have. AT&T Stadium couldn't have held the number of people that watched that video. That's how large our community is. And it's not just academic. Like I said, I am making you me. We already have the same values. You're already people of intellect. I'm trying to get you inside information so you can see how the baseball is played in DC and on the world stage, so that if something happens to me, someone is there to pick that flag up. So we're going to, step one, we're going to keep doing this. Step two, you are going to become involved with your local county Democratic Party. I'm going to say it again. You are going to become involved with your local Democratic Party. And Jeanette Dahl, you folks in Denmark, you folks in Norway, you folks in Australia and Africa, you're going to get involved with your left-leaning parties. And it's not just to help those parties out, folks. It's not. And I need you to pay attention. This is the most critical key part of the plan. Jeanette Dahl here says, weren't many votes removed from those vote rolls in 2024, in my opinion? No, they tried, and they failed. They tried, they had a Supreme Court seat that they, in North Carolina, where they failed miserably. It wasn't stolen. Here's why. It's not just a matter of, oh, we're going to prop up the Democrats, everything's going to be okay. No. The Democrats, and I want you to think about the Democrats and the way they're functioning. Those Democrats, they go to the local parties. They don't go to social media. They don't interact with you. You know, everybody talks about AOC, and they love AOC because she's on social media and she interacts with people, and people see, hey, she thinks like I do. But most politicians, there isn't a system in the Democratic Party to put your values and your mindset and have them understand exactly how you feel, except for one thing. You call their office. And we've all seen how well that works. It's an important thing, but we've all seen how well that works. But I'll give you an example. My Democratic Party. It's run by a lady called Winifred Jackson. She's a wonderful lady. She really is. But Winifred Jackson has an AOL account, email, that she runs this party off of in my little rural county. Let that sink in. The actual address, when you attempt to communicate with the Democratic Party in my county, is an AOL address. She's a wonderful woman. She really is. But with more people involved, with you involved, what do you think happens to those local Democratic parties? They don't just get more efficient and better. They start reflecting your values. And these politicians, when they come back and they meet with you, and they will, if you're involved with the party, they will meet with you, and you will be able to explain to them that you cannot be one of the six Because come next election, buddy, you'll have a backroom conversation. People are like, how do you get I get it all the time. I get people, friends of mine that are in the entertainment industry, and it's man, why do these people talk to you? How do they? Yes, I get to have backroom conversations with politicians, and I get to tell them things like in the last election, stop fucking being Republican light. That doesn't sell. If you get involved in your local Republican Party, yes, your ideas and you will be able to help me grab a hold of the Democratic Party and pull it left. And we don't have to be billionaires to do this. You don't need $100 billion to do this. These local elections are there, folks, one vote. 100 votes, 1,000 votes. You can make a difference on that level. And then you have access to that politician. And if you're part of our community, guess what message they hear? And no, this isn't self-serving. This isn't about me. Let me tell you right now, there are people in DC that'll take my phone call. But you know who will not? Dick Durbin. You know who will not? Hakeem Jeffries. He's a little busy. I understand that. But if you follow through with the plan and you get involved with your local Democratic Party, they're great people, folks. They really are. They know how to organize. They do charity work. I'm gonna bring in Larry Davis here as a guest. You saw Hector Garza. I'll bring Hector Garza back. You can see these people, meet these people. These are good people. They're fun to be around. It's even just giving you another reason socially. I get it all the time. I'm surrounded by MAGA. These are the people that think like you. If you do this, if you help grow our community so that we can keep messaging, if you get involved with this Democratic Party, they'll take my phone call. Downside of me being the nexus of that is, yeah, I get the death threats. Yeah, I got to do this shit. And I'm going to tell you something. I'm going to be honest with you folks. I have never lied to you. I'm not going to start now. My plan for life, I wanted to be out. I got a boat. And in about a month and a half, 2 months, the white bass are going to start running. And what I want to be doing is I want to be waxing my boat, working on my engine, getting it ready, and going fishing. I want to be woodworking. I bought a lathe that I'd never use because I'm doing this. There's a lot of things that I saw in my life that were going to be different, but it has to be. I showed you the picture of my grandbaby. I got 11 more just like her. I can't. So yeah, I'll stick my neck out. I'll take the death threats. I'll make myself the target. If you'll do it with me. And we can, folks. We can. We have some Democratic activists in the chat right now. If you will just get involved in your local party, tell them old Texas Paul sent you. Our influence will grow exponentially. And we will win. Period. First, we will take and insert our influence into the Democratic Party. It will more reflect us. And through reflecting us more, the Democrats will be able to do what they do, which is just work for us, because they're not going to change. Dick Durbin was asked about this. What is your plan for being the opposition party? Do you know what his response was? To a camera, do you know what his response was? Oh, well, this is new to us. Give us some time to come up with a plan. Folks, the Republicans, the Russians understand this. You saw that with Tim Pool and Benny Johnson, and all those guys were getting paid hundreds of thousands of dollars per show to spread propaganda and support the Republican Party. There's nothing like that on the Democratic side. So both sidism will get you ejected. There's nothing like that. Nobody pays me. Yes, there are pictures of me at the White House, but they don't pay me. You do. You see these donations? That's it. I got a couple big benefactors that are people. And this is what I'm telling you. It's not all rich people. It's not. I've got a couple rich people that help fund the show. I've told you this. I've always told you this. But they're like-minded like you. They have the same values you do. If you will do this, if you will get involved with your local Democratic Party. I know it seems like, well, that ain't, I wanted a radical, we're going to get together and we're going to hit the streets and we're going to protest. That's great. That's great, folks. But let me tell you something. The Republicans want you to protest. They do. Donald Trump lived for that in his last election. He did. They want the imagery of them being violent against you, and then they're going to spin it into their own ecosphere about all the terrible, commie, nasty things that you did, and look how violent you are, and you burning things down, and none of that happened. None of that happened. Portland, Oregon never burned down. It was in like a 2-block square area where all the protests were. And then we find out that it was right-wing agitators, part of the Boogaloo Boys that were shooting into a damn police station trying to elevate violence. So yeah, I'm not going to tell you to go out and protest. I'm not. Because everything I told you about Republicans, how they get paid, what their life is, what they do as legislators. They don't even write their own damn legislation anymore. They just show up, collect a paycheck, get the side money, go on trips. How the hell is your protest going to influence that? It's not. But what you can do is you can get involved with your local Democratic Party. You can instill your values into that local Democratic Party. You can be part of our community so that we coalesce that strength together. And then we can go after these Republicans as a true opposition party. Any questions? Linda Hooks, odd fact, Woolworth still exists with the financial reports. Yes, Foot Locker is the successor to the FW Woolworth Company, also known as Woolworths in 2001. Woolworths changed its name to Foot Locker Incorporated. I don't understand the point of that, but thank you very much for the support. Thank you. You understand we are more powerful together, correct? You understand that if we utilize this, look at that. We've 3,600 people in here. I've been talking for an hour and a half, and there are 3,600 people here sitting and listening to it. There will be another 40 or 50,000 people, a football stadium full of people that will listen to what I'm saying. And we're just getting started. And folks, it ain't about me. It ain't about me. Yes, I am going to work. I'm going to do this, folks. I'm telling you up front, I am going to do this. The Democrats don't have that system. These billionaires have been funding systems to control the media, to control online influencers, and put propaganda out there. I am trying desperately to put together, I work with Midas Touch. They are an independent news organization. They are. That is the future. What I'm trying to do is go beyond that. I am trying to find people, these billionaires that aren't on the radical side, that understand we're not crazy. We get it. We get it. We need oil. We do. We're going to do what we can to reduce emissions, and we're not going to try to bankrupt you, and we're the normal people. And I'm going to try my damnedest to set up a network of people to spread good information that is well-funded like they are. Folks, I'm rural. Look at the shitty quality of this internet feed from rural Texas. With real funding, I would move to Dallas or someplace that I can get a real and commercial grade internet feed. I would hire staff. I would have, I would have a much better studio. I would be able to be far more effective with a billionaire sugar daddy. And that ain't about greed. It's just reality. It's about the quality of the product. So yeah, you want to know why I keep saying we're not going to lose? Donald Trump, and this is what I want to sum it up with. Donald Trump just tried to fire several key inspector generals. He tried to purge the inspector generals of people that he knew would have fealty to the law. Most of them he appointed himself. Tried to purge them out because they had fealty to the law. What are you going to do if you need to get rid of that's like turning the alarm off is what that is. That's like turning the security cameras off. That's what that is. Well, guess what those inspector generals did? And why I'm telling you, we're not going to lose. They just said, no, I don't think I'll let you fire me today. That's illegal. There is a legal process, and you didn't follow it, and I ain't leaving. So yeah, as long as we're standing up and supporting them, our institutions may just very well survive this. Because Donald Trump is weak. And these billionaires, yeah, a lot of smoke and mirrors, but it's like in, the Wizard of Oz, when the curtain goes back and you just find out it's a fat old pasty white guy. Yeah, that's what's happening. They're going to find out they pissed a lot of money away. And I will tell you this, one thing that they did do is prove that we can afford to tax them a lot more than we are. They apparently have a lot of money to piss away that they don't need. So you get it, right? I'm not just being a Democratic cheerleader. I'm trying to put you into the Democratic establishment so that we have sway and control within it. Because the Democrats will. They'll do the right thing. They will. We just need to be there. One, to have our hand in the middle of their back and whisper in their ears and say, I got you. I got you. It's going to be okay. And two, we also need to be able to whisper in their ear, yeah, Texas Paul said don't do that. So you're not going to do that. Because if you do it, I'm going to primary you. And you're going to lose your job. And mean it. And mean it. So, if you are still with me, you are still a ride or die Democrat, and you are still part of the Texas Paul community, I want to see the hearts and skulls. Are you with me? Are we doing this? Because let me tell you, while you're doing that, I want to tell you, right now there are good people that are filing the lawsuits. I've had people online tell me Democrats ain't doing nothing. No, you aren't paying attention to what's happening legislatively. The Democrats have voted down 3 horrific bills that stripped rights away from women already. They're fighting. Different people that do different jobs are fighting the way they fight. Mark Elias is out there fighting. You've got the Mycelis brothers out there fighting in the independent media, doing their job. I'm here making sure you have the information that if something happens to me, if they're able to take down old Texas Paul somehow or another, freaking ICE kicks in my front door and suddenly thinks I'm a Mexican, an illegal immigrant, and tries to put me on a plane to, I don't know, Guatemala, you have the information to carry on. And you know how to do it. So let's do it. Let's do it. Now, there is something that's going to change. I'm going to become a lot more militant on my social media. I am not going to entertain there's a whole group of people out there that for their own needs, that people need affirmation. They do. People need affirmation. And life's hard sometimes. And there's an entire group of people out there that shit talk the Democratic Party, that don't know what's going on. They don't know a damn thing about what's going on. You saw it over the TikTok thing. How many people came out and shit talked the Democratic Party that didn't know that it was the Republicans? It was Mike Johnson that put the kill TikTok bill out there. There was a foreign aid bill that the Democrats were trying to save lives with. It was life or death. It was support for Ukraine. Ukraine was on the verge of collapse. Without this support, our European allies were saying, hey, put your money where your mouth is. You know, you can't leave us swinging out here by ourselves. And the Democrats put a bill to fund Ukraine and provide, just water and food and stuff to refugees. And the Republicans stuck in the kill TikTok bill. And then you had people online because they needed an affirmation. Oh, the Democrats are terrible. I can't believe Joe Biden signed the kill TikTok bill. Exactly, a poison pill. They did it on purpose. I can't believe that Joe Biden signed the kill TikTok bill. He didn't. He signed a foreign aid bill. The Republicans, who you should be mad at and talking shit about, put it in the bill. And then Joe Biden never enforced any of it. Even though he had to sign the damn bill because he doesn't have a line item veto. And yes, Trump started it. Thank you for the folks in the chat. Trump started the kill TikTok movement. But they attacked Democrats. They attacked Democrats, my people. Those people will now be ejected from our social media. I can't do that anymore. This fight is too serious. We have to become, no, we don't have to goose step. But I cannot have people that need some affirmation, that need a few likes and needs to commiserate with other people, talking shit about the Democratic Party who don't know what the hell they're doing, don't know anything about the details. Kids. Both sidism, oh, they're both the same. Doesn't make you look cool and smart. It makes you look stupid and uninformed. And I don't have time for you. Your need to get some clicks from some college kid isn't worth my country. So yeah, I'm going to be becoming a lot more militant. You have to refill our ranks. And I need you straightening these people out in our social media. I need you to be the moderating voices when things get radical. When the grifters show up to sell, the election was stolen, just send me your money and I'll keep Donald Trump from being president. That's a lie. That's a con. It was never going to happen. And it doesn't match. We just lost a close election, and it was close. What do you think we're going to do in 2026? I'm building the biggest backlash election I can with you. So are we going to do this? Do you have any questions? What the plan is? You going to do this with me? This is an interactive show. I'm looking at the chat right now. I hope you know this is what you've been funding. I've been rat-holing money as much as I can. This is what I've been building. I've told you many times, I'm trying to grab a hold of the Democratic Party and pull left. This is how you do it. ET, no more pearl clutching. Get mad, get active. Amen. Thank you. Thank you. Now, I'm not telling you don't protest. I'm not. I'm telling you we're going to be smart about our protests, and they're going to be effective. If I'm getting on board with a protest, you better believe I've vetted that shit. Call your local Democratic Party and tell them, Texas Paul sent you. You'll know we've done a good job when I don't have to call them anymore and they start calling me. I love you, folks. This is what I got for you today. Enjoy some Texas cities at night.